What's rad, dudes and dudettes? This is Kiyo Kusagani crushing Capcom's Forgotten Worlds. It's June 1988. Behold!
Did you find the guy? I'll finish you today for sure.
State-of-the-art synthesized speech, two of the coolest dudes in the world, and more monsters than you've ever seen before. This is the future, and it's awesome. Of course, if you want to see this awesome game without talking, I've left a link in the description for that. But if you don't mind me, I'll continue on. If you've never seen Forgotten Worlds before, some context is in order. This was the boldest, most expensive shoot-'em-up anyone made so far, running on Capcom's new Capcom Play system. A $5 million investment that would stretch a decade. This cutting-edge arcade tech allowed Capcom to make the most intensive action games known to man. This, Final Fight, and Street Fighter II, just to name a few. Of course, enemy count doesn't make a game good, but 80s Capcom never missed. We got our first shop here, in which I take the Blazer and a speed select. You don't get to change your speed again for a while, so it's best you get your favorite now. This would be a good time to talk about the game's systems. It's what makes it brilliant. Forgotten Worlds has a joystick, but not a normal button. You got an analog dial you can press in, like your L3 button. Since it's actually analog and not just another switch, Capcom went far beyond Ikari Warrior's 8 directions. You can aim in 32 directions. That's already complex, but then you add the shops and the satellites. Once you buy one, there is a reason to let go of the fire button. Extremely rare in SHMUPS. Aiming without shooting repositions the thing to block bullet barrages. A lot like R-Type. R-Type didn't have that Fantasy Zone shot or multi-direction shooting though, did it? I didn't think so. Thus, what you get is a collage of all the greatest shooter ideas in one, merged masterfully to make the strongest shmup yet. Topped off by incredible art from the young master, Akira Yasuda, who defined Capcom's exemplary art style for 12 years. Here's our first boss. I think a dragon's butt got stuck in a hole or something. He's a bitch, and not in a strong way. If you got a satellite, it'll go down. It's not even worth talking about. Although I never figured out what determines how much money you get at the end of this fight. Sometimes I get 1 coin, 2, 3, or even nothing at all. If someone bothered to actually reverse engineer this using MAME cheats or something else, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious about that.
You cannot stop me with Paralisium alone.
On to stage 2, the reason I bought the Blazer back in stage 1. It's very beneficial for scoring points, as you will soon see. As for the other picks, the missiles are okay, but the V-gun's outright awful. So bad, in fact, the game was updated so you don't have to buy it. You outright get it for free in the newer Japanese version. But before the patch notes, the reason I bought the Blazer. You'll see these invincible alien worms pop out of the water here and there. Normally worth 100 a shot, the bomb explosion overlaps and just hits it repeatedly for thousands of points a second, letting you easily get 70,000 or more in this one stage alone. It helps it actually does decent damage too, but I'd want to replace it after I beat stage 3. I don't think it's strong enough for the last few levels. Now for the patch notes. The version I played is labeled US Revision A, This is supposedly the original release of the game after the prototype, which was also called Forgotten Worlds, not Lost Worlds. The English-only voices in that heavily implying it released here first rather than Japan. It was location tested in Japan, that's confirmed, but every version other than USA has more polish in sound and animation. Like George Lucas making Star Wars effects better. Look at the shopkeeper in this and compare it to the Japanese ROMs. She doesn't blink or move at all. She's like a mannequin, which is okay, but the added movement is graceful in every other release. I always find revision differences in old games fascinating, along with the reasons behind them. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Akira asked to improve them since he seems perfectionist. This next boss is artistic perfection. I don't even want to talk through it. You should see it yourself. Is this the coolest game ever or what?
Ha! The Dust Dragon is no match for us. It didn't take much to get rid of him.
Not only did that Elder Dragon take up the whole screen and have several animated limbs, but you kill it in the most manly, badass way possible. By bombing its throbbing heart and having its skin melt off from the flames. Somehow it gets even better than that. Just like my gaming. I thought I took a hit, so I wanted to ditch my armor to get a new set, but I didn't. I wasted my armor and the shop. It didn't matter. I just ended up avoiding the damage anyway. Power armor is for pussies. And anyone else that can wear it. Cats look great in uniform too. Seriously though, it is really nice to have it for the lasers in this level. They hurt like a truck. This is also what I'd like to call a filter level in an arcade game. A difficulty spike done to ensure you'll need more practice to proceed without continues. Survival from this point forward depends on good control over the satellite. It's necessary to block half the bullets flooding the screen. For the stairs, I placed it diagonally right of me and focused on shooting whatever came from the left, since the standard lizards have less health than the turrets. But you can keep tweaking it until you find a spot that works for you. There's several more than one solution to the patterns in this game. I also mega crash by pounding the shoot button really fast if anything got too close for comfort, since I goofed and didn't want to waste more armor. Not much else to say about the stairs, so enjoy the music for a bit. For this hallway, I find the best thing to do is to pick either the top or the bottom and clean it out aggressively, giving special mind to the lasers in the middle when they appear. It's okay if a stray bullet or two hits you, just don't get lasered. And now, a moment of silence for the suspenseful buildup. A few desperate prayers, and the biggest video game boss ever's here. Biggest for 1988, anyway. Who you flat out gotta dismember to avoid eating a knuckle sandwich. I get the left shoulder, then I have all this room to dodge the eye lasers. So how'd Capcom create such an imposing figure with limited tech? It's simple, but ingenious. You're mostly fighting the background. The War God's body is in the background layer, while all the destructible bits are sprites that get deleted when they're damaged. When the War God dies, the screen gets flooded with explosions as the camera moves up, giving the illusion he's actually falling down. I'll continue after the cutscene.
Did the war god really die? No doubt about it. The king of gods must be saying his prayers now.
Hello again. The tricks old developers used to accomplish amazing feats are nothing short of ingenious. But so are the emulators that reveal them. Were you on the internet in the early 2000s? If so, you probably remember an emulator called Coax, or WinCoax. At the time, it was the best Neo Geo and Capcom Play System emulator there was. Unlike the newest versions of MAME, Coax left several options in the menu to check various aspects of the emulation. These debug features let you turn off the sprites, the background layers, or both, giving you an extensive behind-the-scenes look at how these games were made. The same techniques shared in Ghouls and Ghosts. Miraculously, Coax still works on modern Windows. I wouldn't recommend it for playing games today. The sound output's awful and inaccurate. But if you ever need to rip a background from one of these games, or learn more about game development, it's perfect! If you want to play Forgotten Worlds today, good old MAME is always reliable. But Capcom Arcade Stadium is a shockingly good way to play it too. Capcom Arcade Stadium also runs MAME, but Capcom somehow made modern analog controls work in it. You aim whatever direction you point with the right analog stick, or C-stick, whatever people call it, saving you the trouble of using a mouse and mucking with sensitivity. Arcade Stadium is such a mixed bag. It's a great collection of games, well worth the money, but you'd think they'd do something about the cheaters on the leaderboards, let alone the input lag if you got VSync on. Buy Forgotten Worlds separately if you can. That's worth $2 alone. I'm not so sure about the rest of the collection though. Bionic Commando Arcade and 1943 Kai are nowhere close in the quality league. Damn it, Beavis! Did you really have to clog all those Egyptian toilets? There's not enough TP for those bungholes. Stinko game trying to take a dump on me. Yeah, I'm out of things to say about this level. Compared to the War God, this is a break. Break levels are nice if they're not too underwhelming. Helps the artwork stays consistently cool throughout the rest of the game. Now, that's the snag. You've seen the highest point of the game. The ace up the designer's sleeve, so we say. The War God was the most technologically impressive thing on display here. It was probably wise for Capcom not to try surpassing that high. Rather, the rest of the game relies on its great design and artworks from here on out, like most other games would. The next set of bosses are still impressive, they just don't try to outdo the spectacle of the War God. Nothing is filler or designed exclusively to steal credits, and that's what matters. The debris shower foreshadowing Meskikit's arrival is epic. But it's too bad this bird's a lazy bum that just sits in his boat all day long, thinking that door's enough to stop you. Bird Brain has 3 different patterns, and you're safe from all except one as long as you hug the door. Should the blue balls of death pop out, as you see here, all you gotta do is block the shots or make the balls go boom. On scarce occasions, like this, he'll be a jerk and use every attack on you at once. Should this happen, move left to dodge the shots, and hope there's no spikes there. If there is, ah well, that's what your armor's for. The checkmates in this game aren't so bad because of the forgiving health bar. You got more than enough leeway for the randomness. We made a mess out of Mescatit. On to the next stage.
Was Mescapit's vessel in the air with the flying stone also? I'm not sure, but he won't be getting seasick anymore.
The Inner Sanctum! Halls as rich as a desert's dunes. The perfect place to go shopping. By this point, you're probably like me, and you've already bought the Balkan Cannon, the second best satellite in the game. But in the off chance you didn't collect much money, it's urgent you at least buy the Bound Shot here, the bouncy ball in the upper right corner. It's a continuous stream of volleyballs that fires the full length of the screen. It never lets up, unlike the laser and blazer, so that's the bare minimum you'll need to actually finish this game without dying. The flamethrower that only goes half the screen sure as shit won't cut it. The Balkan I'm using doesn't bounce off a wall, but it's notably stronger, and I'm most comfortable using it for the rest of the game. Bringing the stage front and center again, this stage has two different paths you can choose by shooting the upper or lower door. Always take the low road. The upper path is easier, but there's a tremendous amount of money waiting for you down below, which not only makes life more manageable, but gives you humongous points for every coin left over. There's simply no reason to go up there. Fast forward through some dead air, and here we go. These lightning shafts are resilient, but they give you 10,000 zenny a pop. Just killing 2 of these things is enough to get you the extra life in the sky world. That's how huge that is. And incentives like that make things interesting. I opted to preserve my own health here, but you gotta have some greed to get a good haul. I fought hard to get that extra coin in the middle, walking out with 40,000 zenny. But I could have had 50,000 if I lived double dangerously. It's doable, but not easy to nab that while avoiding the Arrow Brigade. You see how close that was? I crashed out right in the nick of time. I still don't know if that was skill or luck. But I survived, and I came out filthy rich! Unfortunately, the Sphinx Centipede is a little underwhelming compared to everything else we've seen so far. King Tut's mask looks cool, but all it does is chase you mindlessly without doing anything else. It's just NASCAR. I have no health, yet I'm not worried since all you gotta do is float in a circle. I'm speeding this up too. Funny enough, Capcom tried to make this boss harder in Revision C. It shoots bullets at you, but they reverted it since they felt they overtuned it. Ah well, can't win 'em every time.
Darn it. My date with Cleopatra is spoiled.
Sure, whatever you say, Duke Nukem. You're gonna need a long shower after this sweaty battle. This is gonna be the weirdest, yet coolest throne room I've seen in a shooting game. Which reminds me of master designer Yoko Taro's wisdom. He laments the lack of weirdos in seats of power today, and encourages publishers to take chances on them. In the off chance some corporate executives watching this Listen to him! The man that made Nier knows what he's doing. Lest we all forget how weird the idea of pen and paper role-playing seemed compared to publishing traditional books. Speaking of weird, hold on to your butts. This sarcophagus is more than meets the eye. Any day now, open your mouth. It's a bulging alien brain with gross extended tendrils. Yeah, look at that. Evil dude. It's not so much the design that's sick, but the mystery behind that design. The boss is also called Tutankhamun, implying ties to the pharaoh of the same name. I hope I didn't botch those names too badly for my international friends. Stay tuned, there'll be more after the boom.
Now I've got you cornered. There's no escape for you now.
The view above the clouds is simply breathtaking, like these mountaintops. But let's get back to business. The evil alien entity posing as a pharaoh raises a lot of questions and starts a spark in the old imagination. The guts within the sarcophagus don't resemble anything human at all, heavily implying the King of Gods transplanted his creations into our people. Or maybe this is the Pharaoh's brain morphed by unholy magic, striking a deal with our enemy to enforce his beliefs. Whatever the case, I don't think it'll be easy to ask Akira or Yoshiki Okamoto for answers. Even if I could, they might not have an answer. That's part of the fun of these mythical worlds. Halo and Star Wars thrived under the veil of mystery at their best. And so does this, although in this case, it's more sprinkles on top of the gameplay, which is the ice cream. I hope that made sense. The theme of these last 3 rounds are highly unusual for finales too, in the best way possible. Usually, at the end of a game, you'd see hellish, or what most people think are unpleasant visuals. Forgotten Worlds subverts this entirely. The Devil's Domain is a celestial garden, a place most people would consider pleasant. A false paradise. With the actual devil running things, I can't imagine it'd be too pleasant to live in unless you're a devout follower. Dystopias presented as utopias were done in fiction before. But usually, they're right on the nose and unsubtle. 1984, cyberpunk, etc., etc. Crazy to think Forgotten Worlds has better environmental storytelling than most modern movies. By the way, just a reminder this is the most badass hero ever. Arnold can take a freaking dragon right in his chest, and his abs win. That's badass. There's a couple of ways to fight Iceman here. I like to shoot the bullets as they're shot towards me. They're destructible. But if you're fast enough, you can move slightly up or down to get in the right position. One other thing. If you were thinking of buying the super laser here, don't! Not until the next level. It's a trap. This is the only boss that's completely immune to lasers.
Now I'm going to do it my way. Wait. Don't underestimate the gods of thunder and wind.
In the devil's relentless assault against you, the facade falls, and paradise is lost. An unnatural fusion between heaven and hell is born. It's here where you'll face your greatest challenge yet, and finally be able to buy the best weapon if you want it. I upgraded my normal gun one last time, which the game kindly gives you a discount on after all other upgrades, but I did not buy the super laser or extra life. That's where the risk versus reward scoring kicks in. Forgotten World's last major stroke of genius. In 1988, SHMUPS usually didn't have scoring systems like pinballs did. You'd sometimes get extra bonus points for total targets shot or finding a secret here and there, but nothing that involved. In the last hour of development, the designers added boundless replay value by making your unused money worth points. 1,000 points per 100 zenny to be exact. I was just gonna upload my first 1 credit clear, but I wanted to push myself further, to do it without dying or using the super laser. Needless to say, I'm proud of myself. This section definitely doesn't make it easy on anyone, but I follow the same principle I did in Stage 3. Pick the top or bottom, and remove the turrets there to make more room to dodge. Only you have these disciples getting in the way. You can contain most of them by shooting them as fast as possible, but if too many stack up, sacrifice some health to clear the air and give yourself time to breathe. Even if you're trying to get a higher score than me, you're at least gonna want to buy a couple of maximum health ups. It makes no sense not to buy any since they're so cheap early on. The next boss coming up doesn't make sense either. After fighting your way through Hell's legions of guards, the bosses are almost a joke. Comedic relief compared to the infernal rain of bullets you faced before. Agni and Rudra here use high-flying karate kicks whenever they squat. It's quite possibly the most telegraphed attack in the whole game. I get hit by it once since I'm an idiot, but I got my act together after that. Boom! Headshots!
He's done for. I'm going to kill him. I'll burn him with my aura.
Behold! The sprawling heights of Bios Tower, shooting towards the stars and beyond. Also home to this game's greatest challenge yet, making it the perfect backdrop for a finale. There's 2 major rules to follow here. Number 1, prioritize turrets and high health targets. And number 2, do not hesitate to mega crash if things look dicey. I can't emphasize that enough. Everything here hits like a truck, taking out 20% of a mostly upgraded health bar. When the bullets close in, you're much better off eating the 10% loss and taking everything on the screen out with it, meaning you're less likely to get hit repeatedly. Just like that, actually. My satellite will block all the standard shots from above, so I'm giving a big thanks to my armor. It'll do most of the heavy lifting around here. If your armor's badly banged up when you arrive, I strongly recommend destroying it on purpose to recharge it. No alien air conditioner in the world can stop you then. While we're on the topic of armor, let's bring up some cut content. Buried in the game data are images of armor with numbers next to them, from 1 to 9. Which likely would have told you how much durability your armor has left. I have no idea why that didn't make it into the final cut. It was useful to have in Black Tiger, and it would have been useful to have here too. On the other hand, I'm glad there are some ideas that were left on the cutting room floor. like the speed-ups being collectible power-ups. That would have been an awful idea, and I'm glad it's selectable at the start of the game instead. Who likes picking up too many speeds by accident and not being able to control themselves for the rest of the game? Selectable would become the gold standard for all good shmups from this point forward. Unless you design your game around one speed and stick to it, like 1943 Kai. That's good too. What happens next speaks for itself. My heart was pounding out of its chest when that turret didn't blow. One hit away from game over, and I scraped by anyway. That's gaming. I don't think I'd be able to cut this any closer if I tried. Anyway, here's the last boss. His first phase is pretty easy. You just gotta park in the bottom left corner and shoot whatever defenses arise until his shield breaks. I didn't have to ignore the extra life. I could have just made this your average Forgotten Worlds run, but where's the fun and the score in that? The best moments come about when you least expect them. Now for Phase 2. This part is scuffed. It's easy to evade the fire waves by keeping your distance from BIOS. You can shoot them down and destroy them. But once in a while, he'll flood the screen with lasers that are usually impossible to dodge. Not very difficult, impossible. If he's in the middle of the screen, forget it, you're taking a hit. This infuriates the inner perfectionist within me, but at the same time, I get it. If you're that crazy madman that's somehow gone through the whole game without armor, you'll come back to your senses now. This boss was designed to test your dodging skills just as much as your money management skills. If you don't have enough money, your run goes down the drain. I get it. It highlights the game's features. But it's still annoying. If anyone finds a consistent way to dodge those lasers, vengeance will be due. One big score bonus later, and that's Forgotten Worlds, a nearly flawless shoot-'em-up. I'm still shaking myself. I don't think getting another Deathless will be that easy, but I'm really happy with this one. And as usual, Capcom's translators suck. Thank you very much indeed. Seriously though, aside from that last boss, this is an exemplary game that implores you to keep coming back to challenge yourself. You won't tire of the epic set pieces. And if you got a second player, you'll have even more fun from the tag team moves. It's got a little bit of everything from all other games smashed together into one epic game that transcends what came before it. And it still holds up well today. For that, Forgotten Worlds is special, worthy of taking a top spot in gaming history. I give a heartfelt congratulations to Akira and Okamoto for making this masterpiece. Okamoto may be retired now, but the blueprint of his works still lives on today. I also have to thank you, dear viewer, for making this project worth undertaking. What fun would arcade games be if they were only made for one person? Anyway, that's gonna do it for me tonight. This game's a blast. I hope you get to play it one of these days. I spent way longer than I should have editing this, so this is Kyo Kusagani, over and out.